Hello, and welcome to the Kosh. I'm your host, Timber Smith, and the Kosh is a podcast that spotlights people who've had an association with the Kosh and the surrounding Fox Cities area. Kosh listeners, how are we doing this morning? It is another fantastic weekend morning. I am excited. All right, updates. Well, let's see, this weekend, so even though they say don't give, I break so many podcasting rules when we podcast, and one of them is talk about things that date when the episode happened. But I actually think that's not a bad thing, when people kind of know what's going on. A, it's a rainy morning. B, today is the day that actually, I believe it is Juneteenth celebration for the city of Oshkosh. So I hope that some sun comes out, because I would really like that celebration to be successful. And if not, I'm going to go see if I can get a discount on some food. No, I'm just playing. I'm just playing, y'all. I wish them the absolute best, and I hope to actually go down there and go check it out for myself today. All right, now, I'm going to tell you what. This week, I'm very excited about this conversation. And I'm excited about this conversation for a lot of reasons. A, who this individual is. A, what they represent. B, they wear bow ties like me. Let me tell you, you don't run into a lot of bow tie brethren out there in the world, but I found a fellow bow tie brethren out here. And so, there's things that we automatically bonded over. I can just tell you that right now. I can also tell you that when this individual walked in the door, Bosco the podcast dog went bonkers, which I'm not saying he doesn't get excited for everybody, but he actually made about 3 laps around the house. So I don't know what's going on there. But apparently, and he's sitting at his feet hanging out with him right now. So if he has the Bosco, the podcast dog approval, which says everything. But more importantly, and Kosh listeners, you know what I'm going to say. I don't know why we continue to get these amazing, amazing guests. And this week is no different. So without any further ado, this week's guest is Jeremiah McDuffie. Did I get that right?
You did.
Yeah. And we're getting last names right.
I love it.
Jeremiah, how you feeling this morning?
Feeling good, man. It's good to be here.
Yes. I am glad that you are here with us today. Hopefully you got some cool things to share with us.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope your guests don't snooze off on this one.
Oh, no, Kosh listeners. You know what? I will say this. Being a Kosh listener, I think it's a commitment. Like, you got to know you're on a journey, and it's not a short journey either. I believe it's kind of like being like a half marathoner.
Yeah, this is like, I'm going to go for a long run.
yeah, you got to. But you know what? The journey, the twists and turns along that path of these conversations and these narratives, to me, are so powerful. And, what are you going to do?
Yeah. And I just get to know one another. Like you said, we're getting to know our neighbors.
Facts.
Bruh.
Okay. So, Jeremiah, can you please tell us a little something about yourself and your connection with the surrounding Fox Cities area and the Kosh?
Yeah, absolutely. So I moved here in 2013, and that was after kind of a string of moving around. So I was born in Las Vegas, Nevada. I grew up in yeah. I lived there till I was 7, and I grew up in Southwest Florida. And everybody's like, "Why did you end up in Wisconsin?"
I'm gonna have to question that one myself.
But I actually moved around a little bit more: Georgia, Arizona, Georgia again, and then finally we ended up in Oshkosh. And my wife and I, we just settled here. We bought a home here. And we said, this is going to be the place that we live, and we're going to raise our kids. And so here we are. We're moving in on year 11, and it's on our second home now.
Ooh.
Yeah. We started over on Georgia Street, and now we're out on Oakwood Road down by the lake. And that's right before COVID. We just kind of fell into a house, and we're like, yes.
Oh, nice.
Before the market went nuts. And yeah, so it's, and then as far as the Kosh, man, it's what a city. I believe that this is one of the greatest cities in the state of Wisconsin. Just people don't realize what a gem it is.
Facts. I agree with you 1,000%. Yes. So 11 years.
Yeah.
How's it going? How's it going being and moving into the Kosh?
Yeah, so the first winter we moved here was that winter where it didn't break zero for over 30 days. And everybody's like, it's not normally like this. You're not going to move away, right? And sorry, I bumped the mic there. And we're like, nah, this is fine. We're going to be okay. And so after that, we figured if we live through that winter, we can probably make it through anything. And the city itself, man, I love the vibe. I love the way it feels. The only thing I wish for the Kosh is that we were a little more diverse. Sometimes when I come in here from the South, sometimes when I go somewhere else, I forget how undiverse Oshkosh is.
Bruh. That was very kind of you. You paused. You had to figure out, how am I going to phrase that? You can just say it, man. The Kosh is pretty white. I'll say it for you.
Yes, yeah.
And by no means is that a judgment of the Kosh. It is what it is. But I feel you, But what I will share with you is we've come a long ways.
Yeah. For sure.
We are way different than when I first came here 30 plus ago. And I'm actually pretty proud of who we are becoming. We move slow, but we do get there eventually.
I would agree with that. And I think one of the things that's really helped that is Oshkosh more and more is becoming a refugee hub where refugees come. And,
big time.
And we, in fact, there's this family when I lived in Arizona, we adopted a refugee family to help them assimilate to the United States. And we, in the midst of that, just learned what that journey was for them. And so I'm over at the Oshkosh Food Co-op, and I lead that store now. And this family comes in, and it's clear I could just tell. They just really didn't know how it worked. And they're literally a couple days into America, and they've come over here from the Middle East, and they've got like 6 kids. And so right away, I just give them my phone number, said, hey, man, if you need anything, you need to understand anything, you got any questions, I just want you to know I understand, and you can reach out to me. And so I love being able to interact in that way where we see the world come to us.
How did that work out?
Awesome. He's a regular, and it's funny now. I just when you make those connections, the world finds a way. It's not like they have easy transportation. And I'm overfishing with my kids at South Park, and so nowhere close to, if you will, the store. And they live downtown. And all of a sudden, here's this family with their kids, and getting to see them out there and interacting and if you will, several times, just little things, just trying to just show them, hey, here's something you can do. Hey, here's a way you can save money, whatever it happens to be. If you will, just they don't know. Yeah. You don't know what you don't know, and
exactly,
and to say like this is what life is in America, if you will.
All right, let's go back a little bit, especially to the food co-op. Now, I'm going to tell you, when I first started doing the Kosh, the food co-op was the thing everybody wanted to talk about. It had all this buzz. Everybody was trying to figure out what's a co-op and this, that, and another. And so, and at that time, we ended up doing an episode with Brenda Hayes.
Oh, Brenda's great.
Oh, love Brenda. Big shout out to Brenda and Alex. But to just say, how has the journey been, and I know you may not have been at the co-op from the beginning of the opening, but how is it going in the co-op now? And a question I always like to also ask is, what's a myth that people may have about the co-op that's just not 100?
What a great question. Let's start there. A myth that people have is that they have to be a member to shop there. And so all the time, people are like, well, can I be there without being a member? Or can I come in the store? People will literally peek their head through the front door and be like, am I allowed to be here? No, this is a secret society. You can't come in. No, yeah, come on in, And so I think that'd probably be the biggest myth, is that you have to be a member owner to shop there. And absolutely everyone is welcome all the time. And the co-op itself, it had a bumpy road. It started, so we had 2020 COVID. And then we had 2021, if you will, COVID 2.0, 2022, COVID 3.0. And then in the midst of all that, the Jackson Street Bridge closed.
Oh,
And so we're all just like, oh man, we have to go around. What a pain in the butt. But for a business right there, that wildly affected those businesses. And especially for a new business that's trying to gain traction in the city. And so it's been an uphill battle for the co-op. So I joined in October. And if you will, part of that joining was in a place of needing to turn around and move in the right direction. And we really have gained some solid footing. This first quarter of this year, we actually saw the healthiest financial quarter the co-op has seen since it opened. And so that was really exciting to be able to kind of lead through that change, and to show people, that when we believe, and I'm a huge mindset guy, that what you believe, if you don't believe it, it's not going to happen.
Oh, facts.
And so getting the team to believe, getting the member owners to believe, that buy-in, and we're really starting to see that. And now we're seeing other people just starting to like, maybe I'm going to check this place out again, because I think one of the things we missed early on was the co-op didn't necessarily feel like downtown Oshkosh. And you got to be, if you're going to open a business, you got to feel like the place you are. And we're really seeking to make the store accessible to everyone, and for it to feel like downtown Oshkosh. And that's been an exciting journey.
Okay, that's fair. I'm going to tell you one of the best things I know you've done within recent times, and when I say recent, I mean within like the last month, was to put the Diablo taco truck in your parking lot.
Oh, man, they were fire.
Let me tell you. Now, if you don't know and you haven't listened to enough episodes, you don't know that Timber is a taco connoisseur. Ooh. But that made me happy when I saw them there.
Yeah, they are absolutely fabulous. It's actually part of a whole series we're doing through the summer called Food Truck Friday. And it's really, the whole idea is, some people have asked, well, why are you doing that? Take money, if you will, away from like your deli or whatever. And I'm like, nah, man, we want to be about the city, about making the city better, about making a place where people can gather together. And what if we put food trucks in front of the store every Friday, gave them a place to park their truck, and then we have a network of thousands of people that we can tell. And then, of course, you just got other people who just find out, and they're just like, oh, food truck, I'm there. And especially Diablo's Tacos. I mean,
they're fire.
The fire, man. I that was one I'll be honest, I don't show up for all the Food Truck Fridays, but I was there for that one.
And I'm gonna tell you what ended up happening was, so we went there, and then we stopped in the store. We had to get something to drink. Once we went in the store to get something to drink, I had to pick up a few other things, and then we went and sat on the tables in the front.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's a total really smart engagement move. It's a draw.
Yeah, and it does draw people in, and for me, it really started with that community piece, though. We're always looking for ways. Somebody dropped in my ear the idea of doing a $5 community dinner, and I was like, man, I don't know how I'm going to pull that off, because serving people for $5, and it's a rough go, if you will.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I said, we're going to figure this out. And so now we've just done our second one. And both times we served about 100 people. And we're just hoping that grows. People just got to learn about it. They got to learn that the food is absolutely worth it, that there's no catch. And where else can you take it? Like, bring your kids. This one lady brought in her 5 kids. And her and her husband, that's 7 people. Now, tell me, where are you going to feed 7 people for $35?
Oh, no. Who? What? You can't feed one.
Right. Sometimes my wife and I go on a date, I feed myself for $35.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Oh, my God, yes. Okay, well, since, I like to be a person with a few ideas, and I think the $5 dinner can definitely be done with soup. And if there's not a soup thing, I would like to suggest that there's like Soup Sunday or something like that. I am a huge soup person.
That is a good idea. I don't know that we'd have a huge turnout this time of year. Our soup has slowed way down, but I think we hit the fall. We are going to do a $5 soup. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with soup. And just love soup. Okay, I want to ask maybe a question or two more about the food co-op.
Sure.
What don't we understand about it? And my other question is, it's more than just groceries.
Yeah.
Right? What doesn't a community know about that space?
Yeah, so I think to go to the first question is that when you think of a co-op, it is completely member owned. So there's about 2,000 people right now in the Kosh that own the food co-op. And they have some member benefits. And when I say own, it's not like they're getting a dividend check every day or month or anything like that. They believed that having a store that specialized in locally sourced items was worth having in downtown Oshkosh.
That's right.
And so when you think about co-op, that's really what it's all about, is that money is going back into the Kosh. It's not going to, as I like to pick on Big Boy, I say it's not going to Bentonville, but it's staying right here. And beyond that money that's going from, like, if you will, you're investing in this small store. We realized as we did our annual meeting, we just had our annual meeting, that over 300,000 of our purchases from last year were made from local business right here within a 100-mile radius. And that's incredible.
Oh yeah, that's facts.
When you think about now what that begins to do to full circle the local economy, and those are people, they can't get into Walmart, they can't often get into a pick and save, but they've created this wonderful product. One that I think of and I often point to, if you're into Asian sauce, there's this lady, her name's Madam Chu. She makes this just sauce that is just out of this world. And she has the best personality. She comes in, we have these sample Saturdays, and she comes in, the way she interacts with people, and she gets people to just fall in love with her sauce, and you're not going to find that anywhere else. Like, you find it there at the co-op, because we believe in finding those, if you will, local gems that you can't find anywhere else.
I'm in on this Madam Chu sauce.
Yeah.
Hey, next time you see me in there, don't let me walk out without one.
Absolutely.
I'm about that life.
Yeah, and it's great because she's got like she's got a whole line. So it's not like you try one, you're like, well, I got to try the other one now.
Love it. All right, back to the space now, and what I'm hinting towards is, like, it's a community space. There's an opportunity. There's spaces that the community can use in there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a community room, and one of the changes that I made pretty early on was to make sure we made it really accessible to the community. And so if you're a nonprofit, you get to use that space absolutely for free. And as nonprofits have picked up on that, to find a place that you can meet when you have to get your board together, or if you want to have a small gathering, whatever it is. We've had everything from addiction groups to just small book clubs, whatever it is, painting groups, people who are working with special needs, and trauma groups. There has just been this wide conglomerate that has taken advantage of, hey, you're going to give us a space for free for however many hours we need. We've had people like literally take advantage for 9 hours. And no, you're not going to charge us a dime. No, we want you to have this space. We want you to know that you have a space here in the Kosh that is where you can gather at any time. And we want to take care of you and serve for you in that way. And then the rest of the community can use it too. There's a small fee to it, and that's gaining some traction too, if you will, just because that kind of, if you will, that neutral space, that third space where you can get together, you can have a family gathering, whatever it is, where if you're going to bring all the aunts and uncles together, are they all going to fit in my house?
Exactly.
And so we're finding people doing that also. But where I'm most passionate and excited about is those nonprofits. They've been finding a home and a place that they can really do the good that they're doing in the community and source that out even further.
Well, I'm glad to hear this, because I know this local podcast that might need that might need a third space to record every once in a while. I might need to come and use that. So that's pretty awesome to know.
Yeah, man. I open to anyone.
Awesome. Okay, I appreciate that. Jeremiah, if you weren't doing what you do right now, what would you like to be doing?
I spent the last 9 years before the co-op in coffee. I was with Starbucks. That's how a lot of the city knows me. And then I was a director of operations for Scooter's Coffee for a couple of years as they were opening all these stores around here.
Oh.
And it's funny because I'll be out and about. We were at a yard sale yesterday. Went with my wife and kids. We're all out together, and my oldest daughter calls it my harem. And this guy is like, Jeremiah, it's been a long time. And like, he's an old regular from Starbucks. And so he's in this whole conversation. She's like, harem. So he's talking to me. She's whispering in my ear. I'm trying not to bust up laughing. And when I think about what I would be doing, I think it's always going to be in leading people, gathering people together to a common vision. And more than anything, when I think about leadership, one of the things that I've realized as a leader is, so let me take a step back. I believe that people are the most valuable thing on the planet, and that most people don't live in that reality. Depression's at an all-time high, anxiety, whatever it is. And in the midst of that, to be able to impart value to them, and them to be able to learn what it is to live in a value community together. And then we begin to pass that on to those that we serve. And it becomes this trickle effect. And so, if you will, when it all started at Starbucks, I was like, well, we see about 1,000 people a day. And what if, we show 1,000 people value every day? We become more than a coffee shop.
Oh, facts.
Yeah, and then it just kind of became a heartbeat of everywhere I go now, is I want to show people that they have value, and that I believe in their future, and that they can do whatever it is that they want to accomplish. And so from there, if I wasn't doing this, I'd just be leading somewhere, because I so want to help people see that future for themselves.
Facts.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay. Before we go into our first segment, I want to go back a little bit more about you, because we got a chance, before this episode, to chop it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I got to gain some understanding about who Jeremiah was. And I was like, whoa and wow. And so, do you mind sharing a little bit more? And the place I'm going to go to is, the fact that you don't have a K-12 education, that you came from homeschooling.
Yeah, so I was kept home from school, if you will. I used to call it homeschool. My wife affectionately refers to it as no school. And I was kept home, and we just didn't do anything. There was no organized. Every now and then we were part of a homeschool group, so we'd go on like a field trip, things of that nature. But as far as organized, like, this is history, this is math, I couldn't read till I was 9. I really struggled to take on to that. Because of those early struggles, I went through a lot of verbal abuse from some friends, well, not friends, but people in my life, and my older brother. And sadly, my brother at that time was probably the one I looked up to most, the one I wanted to be, kind of, if you will, if I had like a hero figure. And so here's this person that I'm striving to be, who's always beating me down. And it definitely shook me for a long time. I remember going outside and I'd cry, for forever, and every now and then my sister would find me and, if you will, try to make it better. And she'd become my defender. And I couldn't multiply and divide till I worked for Walmart at the age of 18. I actually was I'm working as an overnight stockman. I understand the system, but then there's a lot of math that needs to be done. And I'm like, I gotta learn this. And so, along the way, like, people were like, well, what did you do? Honestly, I watched a lot of SportsCenter. Like, I don't know if you remember, I don't even know if it's still this way, but SportsCenter used to be like the same episode hour after hour.
Oh, yeah.
In the morning.
I don't know if it's still the same either.
And so I would watch SportsCenter for like 5 hours straight in the morning. And then The Price is Right would come on, and I'd watch The Price is Right. And this would be like my daily education, was 5 episodes of SportsCenter, Price is Right, and then I'd go play outside. And then I'd wait for like kids to get out of school. And so that was kind of my day to day. That's what I did most days, if you will, especially in that middle school to high school age. And then right around high school, I felt like I was living the best of both worlds. So the state of Florida passed this law where homeschoolers could play sports in the public school. And so what they did was they left it up to each, I don't remember if it was each county or each school, to figure out the rules to implement that. So it was really vague and loose. And so when I was a freshman, it was the first year of that being in existence. And so nobody knew what was going on. And so they had this thing where you could just go and talk to somebody, just basically do an interview, and long as they pass you, and then you're good to go. And so I did that right before my freshman year. We just have a conversation, and I just kind of, if you will, I BS'd my way through it. And then on the other side, now I get to play sports, and I get to watch Sports Center all morning. And so I thought I was like living the life until I went to work, and I was like, oh man, I need to know some stuff. So I taught myself at Walmart to multiply and divide while working the night crew. And then retail became this knack for me. I just understood it. And because I had to overcome quite a bit there in my early life, just very quickly, those lessons of overcoming became lessons of overcoming at work. And I've just kind of always taken those with me, that no matter where I've gone, that if you will, the way I told you earlier, is like I've already taken Mike Tyson's hardest punch. And so after that, like whatever life hits me with, when things go wrong at work, sometimes I might be a little stressed, but most of the time I'm unfazed, because I'm like, I've already been hit. I've been hit as hard as life can hit me. And if I withstood that, I can withstand anything.
I feel that. I totally feel that. Okay. Now, you ready to jump into the first segment?
Ready.
Okay. The first segment is called What in the World is Going On With? And that's where you start with the phrase, what in the world? And then you tell us what's on your mind. So, Jeremiah, what's on your mind?
I never jump into these conversations, but I just can't help but think, in a land where we have so many incredible people and so many people who bring people together, how did we end up with these two presidential candidates?
Bruh.
And more than that, how do we end up with people so fiercely defending these two presidential candidates?
Bruh.
Like they are the epicenter of the height of what we could attain. And I mean, I know just some incredible people here in the Oshkosh, in our state, across our land, who are people who bring people together. And I know there are some wonderful people in our land, some wonderful unifying people. And I think even in politics, there's some wonderful unifying people. And somehow we have fallen way outside of that. And we've ended up with, if you will, two people who speak to you at the beginning. Before the podcast, you and I were talking about how there's more that unites us than divides us. But all too often, we focus on what divides us. And I feel like right now that's where we are at in the political landscape, is let's focus on what divides us instead of what brings us together.
Well, no, that's what people are running on. It's the easiest thing to run. It's the easiest political campaign to do.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's harder to be the political candidate who's willing to say, this is what I believe in, but I'm going to listen to you over here, and then we'll negotiate an answer that's somewhere that's taking other things into consideration. I don't want to say in the middle, but I do want to say, like, it's a thoughtfulness to it.
Sure.
Instead, there's a villainization of the other side, and, it's not a vote for me as much as it is don't vote for them over there. Yeah. How dare you? Those people are crazy or bad or whatever, right?
It really is. And it's sad because I feel like so often it feeds into what we talked about earlier, anxiety being an all-time high, and really the leveraging of fear. And so I grew up in a community that, well, if we don't win this election, and then it was just the sky is falling, and so, and so then what's been interesting to see is from both sides. Well, we can't survive. I've literally heard it said, we can't survive 4 more years of George Bush. We can't survive 4 more years of Barack Obama. We can't, well, here we are, we survived.
Wait, that stuff cracks me up. And I'm going to be honest, particularly Obama. Like, he was the scary, just stop. What was scary? His brown suit?
Yeah.
That was scary. No, just stop.
I really don't. I don't understand that fear concept. And for me, I mean, if there was a candidate who arose, and I think a lot of American people feel this way, who rose on hope and belief, we would rally behind him, and you would see people cross party lines.
I don't know. I don't think we would anymore. I think we've passed that point.
Maybe.
I just think we've decided that we're so indoctrinated into our teams. And because there's so much, if you look at the logic of a lot of stuff, and if we were talking about me, you, or any other ordinary American or ordinary individual living in our society, there's a lot of things happening where we would be like, there's no way. I wouldn't even hire them to mow my grass, or I wouldn't do and they can't date my kids, and just all the things, right? Like, there's all of these we used to care about character. I don't think we care about character anymore like that. We now just pick a team and we just do blind loyalty to a team instead of holding people accountable to character and things of as such.
That's fair. And maybe it's, I tend to be, I have a shirt that on right now that says believe. And so I tend to be a guy who believes that we can always change. We can always move towards something better. In my own life, in the last few years, been on a real journey of digging through some of, if you will, some of the things that I talked about earlier, some of that trauma, some of those punches, and saying, hey, I don't want that to be my fuel anymore. I want to become healthy and whole inside. And if you will, having been on that journey and seeing the change in myself, I just believe that it can happen for anyone. That if we want something better, and I think as a whole, as a land, if we decide we want something better, we can have it.
Oh, I totally believe that. And I think local government shows it often. Like, I believe in our local government and those individuals and what they're really in it for and what they do, because they're managing the day-to-day.
Yeah.
The things that truly matter, what our streets the conditions of our streets and our parks and our, just all of these things that we literally work with every day. But at those other levels, I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll get back to like something that feels more like a little more neutral for the people.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think though, what we see here, like, I think the Oshkosh is a great example of that, man. When you think about our county, when you think about the city, and I think the diversity of thought right now that's on our city council and that's on our county board, it shows that we can move in that direction. And so I'm hopeful that as a country that we learn that on a bigger stage.
Yeah. I mean, I do believe that too. I think we do a really good job locally in the sense of like, we usually can kind of come to some type of logical solution.
Yeah.
That takes into account all the things that's pretty fair. And it might lean a little bit one way or lean a little bit or the other, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, it's still in the best interest for the majority of the people, and thoughtfulness was put into it. That I can say that I do normally feel about our local government.
Yeah, I would say I feel it on another level now. I feel like some of the people that have stepped into government, we were just talking earlier about Kris Larson, and Kris.
Big shout out to Kris.
Yeah, Kris, shout out. A businessman here in the city, and I know that Kris and I don't agree on everything, and we don't need to. But in the end, we both love Oshkosh, and so can we come together and with ideas and being for the city? Absolutely. And can we agree that in the end, we want the best for everybody? And does it have to be my idea? I think it's one of the reasons I love Kris is because he says, I got an idea for this. He said, but it doesn't have to be my idea. Yes. He's like, just let's acknowledge what we currently have is broken and fix that.
Yeah. And what I also love about him is like he's really pushing people to get engaged.
Yeah.
He's basically telling, I'm your representative. So, get engaged and tell me what you want. Absolutely. Look into this, take an interest, learn about this, and don't just sit on the sideline and wait for it to happen and then have all the feels about it, right?
Absolutely.
Because that's what happens.
I just saw a social media post because he's been just so transparent where he was talking about how many emails he's responded to. And man, you talk about dedication because I have trouble responding to that many business emails.
Right.
Much less, let's be honest, being a councilman, you got to love where you're at to do that. It's not like a job. It's not like you're making a bunch of money off of this or anything like that.
I think what he's really maybe doing is laying out a blueprint for others.
Yeah.
And challenging others to say, look, you can do this too.
Yeah. And I loved how he's like, I'm not going to dump a bunch of money into this.
Oh, I actually loved everything about that. I think he made 3 lawn signs. I think it was. It was like 2 or 3. It was something crazy.
It was funny. I remember even seeing that. And that was for a specific reason. And when I think about like the amount of money spent in all of it, just how much good we could do. And when we were just talking about 4 more years.
Well, the only thing that makes me sad is when we have outside organizations coming in and dumping funds into our local, and how we're trying to maneuver locally. We know who we are.
I totally agree.
Let us figure it out.
Absolutely.
All right. I love that. Jeremiah, I appreciate you because what? Most people don't want to jump in the political atmosphere. They stay out of that pool. They be like, not that pool, not today. And you jumped right in.
It's funny because if people try to engage me about this one-on-one, I'm going to change the subject.
Yes, I feel that. Facts. All right. My what in the world is going on with is what in the world is going on with the dad in Baraboo who jumped on the stage during the high school graduation to push their black superintendent out of the way from shaking his daughter's hand.
Bruh.
Oh my goodness. I had not heard about that.
Oh, you haven't heard? It's national.
Wow.
He done went viral. And I know that he's probably thinking, I didn't think I would go viral about this.
Wow. I think here in Wisconsin, that surprises us a little bit, but having lived in Northeast Georgia for 6 years of my life, I can tell you that, unfortunately, some of that is still just very real and very deep in people's hearts. And the city I lived in, there was a train tracks and one side was very white and the other side was very black. And that was, I think, the thing I liked least about living there was the divide in the city. I remember hearing once somebody told me this story where they went to this church, and so this was a black woman, and she said I was met at the front door and told at a church, we don't want your kind here, go away. And we're just talking about like the 90s, so not like not 1960s, 1970s. We're
the 90s.
Yeah, and so actually probably early 2000s. Now I think about it, and that's just it blew me away. And that's and so then right away, I actually began to have some conversations with people in the city about we got to make some changes because this is not okay. That if somebody goes to a faith community like this can never happen.
Yeah, but I mean, haven't you ever heard that the most segregated time in America is Sunday mornings?
I have. But it's not supposed to be.
Well, no.
And so I guess coming back to full circle to Baraboo, it doesn't surprise me, but I just find it so sad. I find it sad for him because, that seed was planted in him by somebody else. Now, it's not to say you can't break that seed because we've already talked about that, but that was passed down, and he didn't generate that. And what was fueled in him to where he would think so awful about this human being who has so much beauty and value that he would think, I don't even want my daughter to touch his hand.
You notice I did say it was the superintendent, right? We're not talking about just anybody in the school district. Yeah. We're talking about the head individual of the school district.
Yeah.
And you jump up and there's video. So this isn't like, no, there's video. They've been showing this video all over the place. And you hear the superintendent be like, man, what are you doing? Get up off me. Bro. And like there's this whole thing and other people didn't flinch. And the dad is trying to say that he did something to them, him and his daughter.
Sure.
But the superintendent's saying, I don't even know him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what he's talking about.
I think that comes to earlier you mentioned character, and often I think when we find ourselves in a situation, now how am I going to make up a narrative to get myself out of this situation? And so I don't know. I wasn't there for it, but I think I think one thing I would add to that though is in a world where everything, this podcast is just going to be on the internet now. Mm-hmm. So what I've said, whatever I say, and so. It gives me pause. What I say on social media, there's times I think about saying something. I say, I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
And there's maybe times I think when you think about doing something, just to know that now we live in a world where everything can be recorded in an instant.
It is. And here's the thing. This was a recording that was going. It was a graduation.
Sure, it was going on anyway. People were already recording. Yeah.
Right. This wasn't like somebody pulled out their camera and said, "World Star." Yeah. This is a graduation. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you see this dude come out of nowhere and just push the superintendent like off the stage out of the way.
Wow, that's wild.
And we're all looking like, what's going on? And then you hear the little scuffle in the background, man. But all I can say is that that dad didn't know that this was going to go national.
Yeah.
B, you embarrassed the mess out of your daughter. I don't care how you grew up or whatever you did. You couldn't just let that go and just save all of that going national, because this ain't going away now.
Yeah.
This is out the box. It was in Time magazine.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't. Baraboo. Nice job, Baraboo. And why are you tainting Wisconsin like that? Because now that's just another thing about Wisconsin, because you know how that works. It doesn't just sit, in its own individual scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. I love what you said there about the daughter. I was sharing with my daughter not long ago. We were driving down to Milwaukee together, and my oldest daughter, and I was just sharing some of this journey I've been on, and I told her about this voice that had haunted me, from my older brother being verbally abusive to me, and and how I just for years and years and years had haunted me, and how I really worked to kill that voice, and so she starts to cry, and so I knew that she's been through some stuff, but in the midst of that, she said, Dad, there was this time where she went to lower the garage while the trunk of the van was open. And in that moment, sometimes we do things we're just not thinking. And I was like, what the hell's wrong with you? And I snapped at her. It was, I don't remember everything I said, but she was like tape recorded it back to me. And she said she's like, that's one of my tape recorder moments. And I just broke down crying to her. And I said, baby girl, I said, you forgive your dad. I'm so sorry. And I think when you can humble yourself as a parent, so I hope that he can go to his baby girl and just be like, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to embarrass you like this. I did not mean to hurt you like this. I did not mean to harm you like this. Because if he doesn't, it's going to stick with her. She's going to carry that for a long time.
She's national news.
And he has an opportunity to help heal that for her.
Yeah, I don't know. What I'm going to say is he needs to go heal him. Like, for real.
Yeah.
If you're so harmed that you had to go do that, and it's one of those things like, and from what I understand, kind of like after the police interviewed him, it was definitely premeditated. It wasn't like I just decided I was going to do this on the spur, right? Knew what was going to go down and position themselves to act accordingly. I think you just gotta, and we live in a different day and age now. Like, there was a time that you might have got pats on the back and cheered on, and still might have in their own individual silos and circles, right? But in the same sense, like, you got to realize, like, this stuff doesn't stay in a vacuum. Like, it leaks, and it leaks all over the place. The internet changed the game because it's just going to get shared over and over and over again. And then all parties, both those for and against, are going to utilize it for whatever their purposes are.
It's true.
And it becomes propaganda.
You know, but I think you're right there, because I think I was able to respond to her because I'd been on this journey of healing myself. So yes, he does need to go heal himself. But at some point, and hopefully sooner rather than later, he provides that healing moment for his daughter.
I hope so. But I also hope that he goes and grown-ass mans himself.
Yeah.
And just goes and talks and apologizes to the superintendent.
Yeah. Own it.
Own it. Be a grown man. You screwed that one up real bad there, buddy.
Yeah.
Because you made your city look bad too. And Baraboo, I don't know if you know Baraboo. Baraboo's had, it was a couple of years ago that they had this picture of their seniors doing a Nazi salute.
I did not hear about that.
No, that's a thing. That was big too.
Wow.
And so, like, this whole thing, everybody's tainting up Baraboo.
That becomes another layer.
It's another layer of this small city in Wisconsin, and I'm sure there's very, very good people there who are thinking, why are you making us look like that?
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Especially, Baraboo, if you've been over there, it is a beautiful place to visit. When I think of Baraboo, I think of Devil's Lake, and just the beautiful scenery there. It is a beautiful place to drive through, a beautiful place to go camping and hiking. And, if you will, could be such a bright spot for Wisconsin.
Well, guess what I'm not going to do now? I already have rules about certain spots in Wisconsin. And Baraboo just got moved onto the list of those rules.
Yeah. Be like, I think that is, we have places, a lot of options of where we can go. And so I think one of the ways that we can implement change is when we see something that's not right, is to be like, I'm not going to go there.
My thing is this: we may have a lot of options of where to go, but and when I say we, I am talking about people of color, do not have as many places to go where we feel safe.
Yeah, man.
And that's just, just keeping it 100.
Yeah. And I like I said, because of where I lived for so long, I can feel that. I haven't lived it, but I can feel it. And I've had friends who felt it very deep. They said, nah, man, I'm not going over there. And I'm like, it really woke me to, oh yeah, like I don't have to think about that as readily.
Right. All right. That was a fire conversation. I tell you, what in the world is going on with sometimes it's just fire. Okay, we're going to jump into 21 questions. That is where we ask you some questions, not necessarily 21 of them, but these questions are so good they might give us 21 answers. So, you ready to jump in?
Ready.
Okay, first question. Jeremiah, what are you grateful for?
Yeah, I think I'm most grateful for overcoming. I'm grateful to be where I am now, and with my wife, with my kids, with my team at the co-op. When you have two options when life hits you, and you can let that knock you down, and you can use it as an excuse, and you can stay down, and you can be like, everything's rigged against me. I just never had a chance. I didn't have any hope. Or you can take that punch and you can get back up. And I'm just grateful to be there, to have done that, and to have walked that road more than once, and to be on the other side, and to, if you will, now be in a place of influence where I can invest in other people. I'm so grateful that I'm not in the gutter, that I'm not dead. One of the reasons I talk about anxiety, depression is I I went through a pretty severe bout of depression where I thought about taking my life all day, every day.
Bruh.
And being on the other side of that, I know what that battle is, and wanting other people to know that they're worth it.
What motivates you?
I think it's much of the same. I think day to day, my kids motivate me a lot. I love being a dad. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have a friend, he'll talk to me about having the kids or people, even acquaintances, and they talk about it being this huge chore, and I don't think of that at all, man. When I have 3 kids, and if I have the kids, it's just no problem. Like I love spending time with them. I love taking them out, whether we need to get to bed or we need to fix dinner, we need to do laundry, whatever it is. I love we're going to go to the market after this. I just love spending time with them, and so they're a huge motivator in my life. But after that, I think just people, believing in the way that I do, that you can influence people for the better. It makes me want to keep going. That I want other people to taste some of what I've tasted.
What grounds you?
I think I'm going to change this. I grew up in a faith community, and for a long time, I would say that my relationship with Jesus was like what completely grounded me. And to be honest, that's a place where I've struggled. I've struggled here in the last few years, and there's a various things to that story. And probably I'll start it with my sister had a mental break, and she went into the woods of Florida and died. She starved herself to death, and that was right at the beginning of COVID. It was a horrible thing to live through, and it gave me a new appreciation for when we're talking about mental health and what that means. We eventually were able to look through some of her diaries and journals and things of that nature, and it just got really broken and dark as you read through there at the end. And then as I dug through some of my own trauma, and so anyway, this is the long answer, but now when I think about grounding each day, as I'm exploring where I'm at with God and how that relationship, I start each day with this app that leads me through like a guided meditation, and I do it while I'm in the shower. And it just, having that routine, it just puts like my feet on the ground each day, and just being like, this is who I am. This is my identity, and not allowing anything to shake that really gets me going each day to be like, all right, now it's time to go.
What does success look like to you?
I think success is giving it your all. I think it's getting knocked down and getting back up. When you fail, that you fail forward. We're all going to fail. It's not allowing failure to be the end. So I was the director of operations for Scooter's Coffee, and I would not call that a failure, but they ran into some financial stuff, and I was laid off. And man, for a guy who has 3 kids and is providing for his family, that punched me in the face in a way that I didn't really even realize at the time. And to get back up from that and to be like, this does not define me. This is not who I am. I am not, if you will, the guy who got laid off and I doesn't have value or worth or whatever. But you're actually a pretty incredible person. And, I think that each person should believe that about themselves. And when you can live in that kind of belief, then it just begins to, you don't want it to sway into arrogance, which I'll be totally honest, in my 20s, I was there. But when it's just belief and it's not arrogance, it becomes infectious and other people begin to catch it. It's a good infectious where they begin to catch that belief.
What irritates you?
Yeah, I'm such an easygoing guy. There's not a lot, I'll be honest. But I think when people paint ultimatums, like deep from in my heart. I think that a bit of what we talked about earlier, it's either this way or that way, and there's no coming together. I've just seen too much coming together to know that divide is just such a false narrative. And if you will, I think the word maybe I put was bureaucracy. That when that gets in the way of people coming together, it just drives me nuts.
What scares you?
I think day to day I don't live in a lot of fear, but I want my kids to want to be with me when I'm old, and for them to genuinely want. I see so much of that. Somebody was just in the co-op. They were looking for a Father's Day card, and they were looking for a card that says, she's like, I'm looking for a card that basically says, "You're my dad. Do you have anything like that?" And she said, I want to acknowledge that he's my dad, but it was really hard. And when I get old, I want my kids to want to be with me. I want them to, because I want to be with them. Gosh, I love them so much. And so I would say just that I don't do anything to break that.
How do you define love?
Jesus said, greater love has no man than this, that he laid down his life for his friend. And I think that has stuck with me, to be a person who will show up in the middle of the night, who will take a phone call in the dead of the night, who will drive just to go see your friend accomplish something, that it's a total inconvenience for you, but you want to be there to support them. And I think that defines love is when you show up, you say, "I'm here." And I think that's especially meaningful to me because I don't know that I had a great model for that. And so I didn't always model it myself, and really learning to what it is to show up for my wife, for my kids, for my friends. That the world is not about me.
What is the most memorable lesson you've learned from a parent, a guardian, or a mentor?
I'm going to change this up too. There was a man that I worked for at Walmart. His name was Larry Francis, and he was acknowledged as one of the top 10 managers in the history of Walmart while I worked for him. So it's a pretty big deal, in the Walmart community. And early on, we would just have conversations in the aisles. He was so down to earth. Here you got this guy who's leading this store that's doing $100 million of business a year, just one store. And I was at that time nobody. I hadn't risen up in the ranks of Walmart. And he would come and he'd have conversations with me. And I remember him talking to me one time, and he said, "Jeremiah," he said, "character is going to be what you do when no one else is looking." And man, that today has rung true in both directions, both when I failed in character and when I have succeeded, and where I want to go for the rest of my life is to be the person that everybody believes me to be when nobody else is around.
Jeremiah, you have survived 21 questions.
Thanks.
Hey. Okay. Next segment is word association. That is where I'm going to say some words and you're going to tell us what comes to your mind. We have a tradition here on the Kosh, and that is this. We always start with the same word. It is the word of love. It is the word of family. It is the word of unity. It is a word that you know a lot about because you are kind of in that business, and that word is food.
Right now, when I think food, I think of the food trucks here in the community.
Ooh, yes.
Man, whether it's at the farmers market or our food truck Fridays, or we're about to have this big gathering at South Park we have every year. I think it's this next Friday. And Man, I just love the food truck scene and the small business. I'm all about reinvesting in people who have a dream. And if you will, food truck is like the very edge of a dream. Like I think I want to go into business with food, but I don't know that I can make it in a restaurant yet. So I'm going to open up a food truck, and it becomes like that first step of that dream. And then maybe it just becomes a dream. I know some people, they end up with like a line of food trucks, that's what they do. And so but man, I love to go. There's just this flair to food truck food. I feel like some soul that goes into it, some heart that makes me just want to buy stuff.
Oh yeah. If they really know what they doing, man, like Diablo.
Yeah.
When I see Diablo's taco truck, I smile. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go buy some $3 tacos.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. I don't care if I'm hungry or not.
I completely agree. There's a truck, there's this barbecue truck, St. Vincent, I think it's called. They come out to the market sometimes, and man, every time if it's there, you better believe I'm going to get some of their barbecue. It's got what I'm looking for. It's got a little bit of their heart in it, and you can taste that.
Oh yeah, I'm feeling that. Cocktail or beer?
Actually, I'm going to go in a different direction here. Recently, they have these new drinks that have THC in them, and like mocktails and soda. And if I'm on a night off, I really enjoy chilling out with one of those, man. We actually just started carrying some of them at the co-op. That's how I was introduced to them. And they were like, hey, we want you to sample these. I was like, sure. And I was like, man, I love how mellow this makes me, how it just kind of helps me lose the day, if you will. But on the other end, it doesn't have any of those effects of alcohol on the next day. And so yeah, I've really enjoyed them.
What are these called?
So, see, we have the ones we have right now. We have a couple brands. One's called Foundry Nation, and the other one I think is Balanced. But they're mocktails or sodas that have THC in them, legal amounts, that we can sell here in Wisconsin. And they just really help mellow you out. And if you will, a bit of a substitute for a glass of wine, or making for me, it would be an old-fashioned or maybe a amaretto sour. I really love amaretto. But I've really taken to these beverages and using them on a night off just to zone out a little bit.
Okay. Hey, I think you got me. I'm going to go check that out. I'm in. I'm so in. Okay. Shop local.
Yeah, and they're made locally, so that's even better.
You said, I'm going straight I'm going to stick with that. That's all right. Fair enough. Concert.
I am not much of a music guy, but I have been informed that if I in any way get the opportunity to get Taylor Swift tickets, that I better say yes. So my daughters are complete Swifties. I was listening to your podcast, and Kris Wright talked about this, and so for me, I would love to go there and live that out with my daughters. That if she was in the area and we could find an affordable ticket, we would absolutely go do that together. It's really become my oldest daughter is 19. I have an 11-year-old and a 5-year-old. I call them the honeymoon baby, the miracle baby, the surprise baby. I'm going to get shirts made one of these days. But it's really brought those two together, the two daughters, and I would love to just go experience that with them because they have so much love and bond there together as sisters. I think it would just be a beautiful place to be as a father, to be able to take them to something like that.
Hey, send a shout out to Kris. Yeah, that whole trying to get some Taylor Swift tickets thing, that's no joke.
Yeah, it's wild, man. And, I have so much respect the way that she commands 100,000 people. If you watch like some of the video, it is wild. Some people talk nonsense, whatever, but it is wild that she has the whole audience, and it's so diverse. It's so beautiful. Like, age, race, it just doesn't matter. Like they're all there, and they are all fully captivated for a 3-hour show. You tell me where that's happening.
Facts. Streaming.
Yeah, so for me right now, I just rewatched Daredevil because Disney's coming out with a new Daredevil,
Ooh,
and
I didn't know
so
that.
yeah. So I enjoy the MCU for the most part, and I really loved what Netflix did with that. So I'm hoping Disney does it right. The villain in Daredevil, the guy who plays Kingpin, he just nailed home run, just complete one of the best villains in in anything. I think he just does a wonderful job, if you will, of embracing darkness or like in his character, which is funny because I hear he's like a really nice guy. And then another one for me would be Ted Lasso. Somebody was like, man, you got to watch Ted Lasso. You got to watch Ted Lasso. And finally, I was like, all right, I'm going to watch Ted Lasso. And it just so resonated with me. And I think it's resonated with so many people because we want somebody in our life like Ted who will believe in us no matter what and encourage us no matter what and always go to bat for us no matter what. And that's the type of show it is. And it just really resonated with my heart that that's the type of person that I want to be for other people.
I love Ted Lasso. There's such good character, like creation of Ted Lasso. Like you love them all.
Yeah.
And you know, that's half the battle of a great show is you need all sorts of characters and quirks and all sorts of things. And it's just kind of fantastic. I can say that, you know, Daredevil is one of the only ones I didn't watch on when the Netflix had those Marvel shows. My favorite at the time was, what was the young lady?
Jessica Jones.
Yes, me and my wife really liked Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist was good, and Luke Cage. I loved Luke Cage.
You got to go back to Daredevil then. I think if you vibed there, you're going to vibe with Daredevil.
And I'm with you on villains. I'm right now, my hope for the MCU is they got to bring Doom. I want Doom. Because here's my thing. I actually enjoy the villains more than I usually enjoy the heroes.
Yeah. Well, I think if you think about The Dark Knight, and Heath Ledger and the job he did there,
yes.
Where we all were it was a great movie overall. And I thought Christian Bale did such an amazing job. But what Heath Ledger did with that character just went to another realm.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, what Aaron Eckhart did with Two-Face was just amazing. But then you had this character who just took it to another level,
right.
who found a way to make you believe that he was darkness, if you will. And I agree with you. If you have a great villain, man, you have a great story.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm a huge Thanos fan. I thought they did an excellent job with Thanos.
Absolutely.
So, okay. Feeling that, man. Entrepreneurship.
Man, I just wish more people would believe that they could do it. We live in so much doubt and fear. And if I wasn't at the co-op, one of the options, that I thought very seriously about was starting something myself. And I think that we still live in a land where you can go and pursue dreams and make things happen. And maybe more than ever, like if you learn to leverage the tools that are at your disposal, that there is so much to be had. There is so much that you can accomplish. And it all starts with mindset and belief. And if you'll go there, I think the sky's the limit. And so I think ultimately that I'm not far from, and I want to land on what is it that I want, if I'm going to do something on my own. And I think I've really landed in probably some kind of coaching business network, to not to leave the co-op for anybody who's maybe scared listening, but to begin to invest in other leaders on another plane and to really, I have a pretty large LinkedIn following. And I haven't posted on there in a while. Even had a few people write me and be like, hey, is everything okay? Yeah, I'm just really busy. But to invest in other people as leaders and to help them to know that they can do it, whether you just want to lead where you're at or you want to go start something, that you can get there. And I think I can help people get there.
Diversity.
people are beautiful, man. Just beautiful. And I love the diversity that people bring. And I think so often when we get frustrated with each other, what we're not thinking about is what is going on in that person's life that made them act out in that way or for that to happen. And I really began to think about this at Starbucks. Somebody say lashes out, over a coffee, and you're like, well, is it really worth lashing out over a $5 cup of coffee? And when that comes a whole other conversation, should we be having this many $5 to $7 cups of coffee? But,
Bruh.
but on the other side of that, like what's going on in your life that made you treat me that way? Like what happened to you? And so when I think about diversity, I think everybody has a story, and we can get past the surface that we can find out so much beauty, and we can find so much overcoming, and we can find so much to come together over. Man, I believe there's so much commonality. And again, we focus so much on what divides us. I would say, even at the co-op, it would be so easy to find what divides us. And instead to be like, what can bring us together? What can we agree on where we say everyone's welcome here? And for everyone to truly be welcome there. One of the things that I've really championed since being there, and we've seen, I think it was like a 600% increase in the program or something like that, as we have this program called Food for All. And it's where those who are maybe income challenged, I forget the word that I'm trying to use there, they can apply and get 20% off everything in the store except for liquor. And as we have expanded that program, it's been so neat because we've made the co-op, if you will, accessible to this whole new demographic that was, and so now we've got, I made our coffee $1. So we talk about $5 to $7 coffee. I was like, what are we doing here? We're just brewing coffee in the morning. We're not doing any jazz to it. Let's not pretend we're Starbucks. Let's serve dollar coffee, and like make it accessible to everyone. And during the winter, we had so many people from the homeless people come in. They sign up for the Food for All. So now they're getting that dollar coffee for 20% discount. And they're just like, I just want to say thank you for giving me a warm place to sit and drink a warm cup of coffee in the middle of winter. And at the same time, you got some people who've got some money, who also shop the co-op. And so when I think about diversity, I think, man, when we can bring all that together and be like, we are all humans living this thing together, and where can we find commonality and commonplace too? And I love doing that, and I love seeing it come together.
I can't stress it enough on what you just said about when we understand each other's stories and we then understand each other and we figure out we share so much more commonality than we do difference, then that's how you truly love your neighbor.
Yeah.
That's the Kosh.
Absolutely. And I think it's one of the things I love about living here is that although there are things that divide us, I feel like overall, with maybe exception of living through COVID, that we find in the day-to-day ways to come together.
I was going to say, except for the exception of being a Bears fan. They got a rough go around these parts, man. I'm just saying. Like, we'll forgive almost any other team, but Bears fans, they get a rough go.
It's funny. I actually think we hate the Vikings a little bit more. We just like to make fun of the Bears.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna buy that. I'm with you on that, actually. Okay, that actually vibes with me. Okay, thank you. Next segment. The next segment is called the Kosh Hidden Gems. This is your opportunity to share a hidden gem with the Kosh listeners. That hidden gem can be about absolutely anything. The way I like to think about it, it's either gonna be something where maybe people don't know about it, or maybe it's something everybody knows about it, but there's some details about it that they don't know. What's your hidden gem you want to share?
I'm going to give a shameless plug here. I think I can do this because I haven't been there for the whole journey. In fact, just in full transparency, I visited the co-op when it first opened, and I said, it's a nice store. I don't think I'm going to be back. It's just not my vibe. And then I came back about a year later, and I visited the store, and I was like, it's a nice store. I don't think we're going to be back. Not my vibe. And so it's been an interesting partnership, that I ended up there. And it was really in believing that we could make it something that where everyone felt welcome in downtown Oshkosh, and a store that was accessible to everyone, that I came, and that the board was fully on board with that vision. So I really think the co-op is a hidden gem. Like, it's become this place that a lot of people visit it once or twice, and they were like, I don't know that this is my jam. I don't know that this is my vibe. And more, it is becoming that place that people are like, man, some of the deals you're running right now blow everybody else out of the water. And what you do, like, we have this flash sale freezer up by the registers, and it's so great because it's one of those places where I love things that bring everybody together, and the flash sale freezer brings everybody together. And because we were able to just source just incredible deals on things that, and if you will, we pass 100% of that value onto the guest, instead of trying to build margin crazy amounts. You just being like, you know what, we got an incredible deal, you're going to get an incredible deal. Realizing that the economy has gone nuts, inflation's gone nuts, and everybody could use an incredible deal right now.
Oh, facts.
And then I love just finding all these, like, I'll walk the aisles and I'll be like, man, I didn't even know that this local product, was here. And so for me, I just being able to, like, support all of these local businesses within one business is so much fun, because I'm all about reinvesting in the place where you live. And so if I shop at the co-op, I don't just get to shop the co-op. I'm now shopping Thunderbird Bakery, or I'm now shopping a local microbrewery that maybe doesn't even have, like, if you will, a storefront yet. Or now I'm
maybe a winery, a cidery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to Sunken Paddle Cider.
Or this little old woman who's just really sweet, Asian woman who just loves to make amazing sauce, And so whatever that happens to look like, you finding those gems. There's this mom. Her kids were having, like, dairy, gluten, all the stuff. And well, when you like have all the allergies, finding something that tastes good, it can be hard. And so she made this thing. It's called Mom's Munchies, and so finding things like that, I just love, because she was just trying to solve a problem for her kids. And then her kids loved it. And she's like, I think I'm going to turn this into a business. And now she makes these amazing cookies that don't have any of those things, like the basic allergies in them. But I'm all about flavor. And so if it's not good, I'm not going to say it's good. I grew up in the South, so I love me some food. I love me some home cooking, and she did a great job of inventing this product. And so I love finding those, if you will, small businesses within this small business and helping build them up.
That's awesome. That is a pretty cool hidden gem. Okay. At this time, we are going to take a small commercial break.
Did you know there are children in the Fox Valley in need of hearing aids, but their parents struggle to provide them because of lack of insurance or high copays? I am Juliette Sturkins, audiologist and board member of Here in the Fox Cities, and proud that this small local nonprofit organization has helped fund hearing aids for some 30 kids. Your donation would help more children hear. Visit hereinthefoxcities.org to learn more and to see their smiles. Every child deserves to hear.
All right. And at this time, and you know what? I forgot to say this at the beginning, but I'm going to say it now, that this episode is sponsored by Sturgeon Spirits Craft Distillery, the Kosh's newest tradition. All right, and I'm going to tell y'all, usually when we talking about my church, I always like to tell a church story, because that's just how that works, right? Because, I don't just talk about, like, Sturgeon Spirits as if it's that place. No, this is where I really hang out. This is my joint, right? So if you don't know, I believe it is the last Sunday of the month. They do this Bloody Mary bar, and they roll out the red carpet. And what you do is you walk in the door, and they give you, like, you pick your cup up and you tell them what vodkas you want in there, or whatever. It doesn't have to be vodka, whatever the liquor is of your choice that they have. And then you go and then you pour the rest of your condiments into it, right? And there's this. So first of all, there's a wide variety. So my last go round, I went and got a selection of Chipotle vodka with some horseradish vodka mixed. Then I went and got, like, there's this green homemade Bloody Mary mix, and it's zesty. It's zesty. I don't know. It's homemade. Todd makes it. I don't know what Todd's putting in that stuff, but this stuff is wonderful. And then I mix it with some of the red, and then they got every Bloody Mary condiment you could expect. Basically, pick your salad, put it all in there, and I do. I'm that dude, because I'd like to munch as I'm drinking my Bloody Mary on a Sunday morning. And then to top it all off, they provide sandwiches from Z's. And if you've heard me in other episodes, you know that I have a love affair with Z's bacon sandwich. This bacon sandwich is the greatest thing ever. It is fantastic. And these things are there. So besides this Bloody Mary I'm getting, that is ridiculously yummy, along with a beautiful salad that I put inside of this Bloody Mary, I get to have a bacon sandwich alongside of it. So if you don't know about this Bloody Mary bar at Sturgeon Spirits, you need to be about that life, and I'll meet you at church.
You know, I did not know about that, but I do know I have met the guy who...
Carl.
Carl.
Shout out to Carl.
Who started, Sturgeon Spirits, and it's just a retired teacher who just wanted to play with crafting, and I love it. He's actually been at the co-op a bunch of times sampling, and I love he'll be like, well, let's try this together and this, and their playfulness with it. So it is a lot of fun. I think if you're looking for a fun experience, I know Carl's going to provide it for you.
Oh, facts. His team there between Todd and Tanya, those two, it's just a good time.
Nice.
All right. Now it is time for my favorite segment in the show, and that is called Story Time. It is the opportunity for our guests to tell us a story. That story can be about absolutely anything. So what do you have for us?
Yeah, so I'm gonna tell you a story from my childhood, and so we didn't go to school, so we had a lot of spare time, and we were in Southwest Florida, so it was pretty beautiful all year round, if you will, and my sister and I, sometimes we would go out. We lived on the Myakka River, and in Southwest Florida, lightning storms would come through all the time, and sometimes pretty vicious. And so we live right there on the Myakka River. It's kind of opened up into a big bay where we live, and the Myakka River is brackish water, so there's both sharks and alligators in there. And so some people are like, oh, no thanks. Now you've lost me. But we're in a canoe on the we're in a canoe out on the Myakka River by ourselves. I'm probably 8 or 9. Somewhere right around there. And she's 3 years older than me. And so first, you're like, what are we doing by ourselves out on an open body of water in a canoe with sharks and alligators? But that's another story. But so we're out there and we're fishing, and we've taken lunch and everything. And this storm comes in, and it is brutal. Like, we're paddling and we are not getting anywhere. Waves are starting to happen. We're in a canoe, and lightning's just crashing down everywhere. Canoes are usually made out of metal now, so.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it is first class scary, especially for a 9-year-old. And so we're out there, and I'm praying, and I'm like, God, if one of us has to die, God, if we're going to die, if we're not going to make it out of this, if one of it has to die, he's like, please let it be me. And my sister, she's like, God, if one of us has to die, please let Jeremiah's soul be ready. Oh, man. And we both made it back to shore alive, and we laugh about it now. We did. But we had some escapades like that where we just love to get out together and enjoy the world, and it's still something I love to do. When I think about getting out, I love to get out in the kayak now, much more maneuverable than a canoe, and go out fishing and be out on the water. And some of that probably goes back to some of those early trips, in my childhood, and taking me back and just grounding me a little bit.
I'm going to tell you, there's so much wrong in that story. There's so much wrong in that story. Let me just start off with the sharks and alligators. Like, what? In a canoe? No. 9? No. There's just wrong. There was just wrong after wrong after wrong.
Yeah.
Woo.
It was. I just grew up in it. It's just what we did. I would go out and play basketball at the local park. Sometimes till like 2 a.m. I wouldn't tell my parents where I was or anything. I just come home, or I'd go fishing. Like, same thing. I'd leave sometimes snook fishing. You go really early in the morning. So I'd leave the house sometimes at like 3 a.m, just whatever. You'd get out on the dark water. And it was our normal. So like, I didn't think of it as abnormal until much later, where I was like, wow, like there was a 9 and 12-year-old out on this huge body of water that was pretty dangerous in a metal boat, and then a storm came up, and sharks and alligators, all the things that you're talking about.
I didn't even bring up the lightning in the metal boat. Oh my God. That's just, woo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Made it out on the other side, though.
That's all that matters. That is all that matters at the end of the day, even though you did volunteer your soul. That's so bad. Oh, and she did too. That's just even worse.
Oh, man. We laughed about it for years.
Okay. Well, that means now it is that time. When that sound comes, you know what time it is, and that means that it is time for the topic of the week. Topic of the week is chosen by our guest 99.9% of the time, and this week is no different. So, Jeremiah, what do you have for the topic of the week?
Man, it's farmers market season, and the Oshkosh has the most amazing farmers market. And sadly, it looks like we've got rain the second week in a row of farmers market, but every weekend that I can be off and be down at the market, you better believe I'm going to be there. I love the way it brings the city together. I love the food trucks.
There's a theme.
Bruh.
I love the variety of what goes on down there. You have all these different people bringing so many different things. It's not just about vegetables, but crafts and baked goods and if you will, you get to know a little bit of your neighbors. You get to know what they're into. You find these gems that you just had no idea even existed. I bought some fishing lures that I've actually snagged a couple fish on at the market. Whatever it happens to be, they've just got such a wide variety. And then I just love, again, the way it brings people together. I think like the first market last year brought something like 15,000, 20,000 people to Oshkosh. And so it wasn't just people from Oshkosh. People travel from other places to come to our market, even if they got a market going on, because they know we got the market. Like, our market is the jam.
Bruh.
Facts.
And I love everything about it. It's for me, it is that place of common ground.
I just enjoy the energy of the market. And what I also enjoy, me personally, is I'm huge in just kind of like observing and people watching. And I think your farmer's market lets you know what your community looks like.
Yeah.
And I'm always really pleasantly surprised at like what our community looks like now. Like, we have grown and we have changed, and it's pretty cool. And and the other thing about farmers markets is it's all ages.
Yeah.
Right? It's 8 to 80.
Yeah.
I love that part about it.
Me too. I think everything about what you just said about how it reflects us, and then how it reflects everyone. that no one need to be left out of this one. That everyone can be here and everyone can have a good time here. And it's so hard to find something that everyone can have a good time at. Yeah. And the Oshkosh Farmers Market is 100% that. And if you are listening to this from somewhere else, you need to visit the Kosh and come to the Farmers Market on Saturday morning.
Yes.
8 to 12:30. I believe the best farmers market in America, much less Wisconsin.
I got to go. I haven't gone yet this year.
Oh,
but I got to go. I got to venture out and check out some stuff. Okay. So first of all, I like the place that serves coffee, whether it's elsewhere or the place at the end. I always like to pick up like a nice little coffee to walk around with, right?
Yeah.
Then I also always like to pick up a nice little drink, usually from Oblio's, and sit outside and have like a little bloody in the morning for it. And then if the dog treat place is there, we got to pick up some dog treats from Bosco, the podcast dog. I'm likely going to pick up like some egg rolls or something, right? But the most important thing that I usually try to look for while I'm there is if the burrito people are there, right? Now, there's a couple of options, but there used to be this one. And if you listen to old Kosh episodes, look, this burrito truck, this burrito tent, it was really a tent. There was no truck. They made the greatest burritos I have ever had. And I don't know where they used to disappear halfway through the season. And all I'm hoping for is that they back this year.
Yeah, I hear that.
And I couldn't even tell you the name of them because I never cared what the name was. It was the burrito tent. And so I would literally get up and I would run down there and I would grab two, one for me and one for the wife. We wouldn't walk the rest of the market. I grabbed my burritos. I was back. I was happy. I would skip. Like, I'd park like 2 blocks away, skip there, skip back, have my burrito, had some hot sauce. Man.
I totally feel that, man. We feel that way. I, again, don't know the name. There's a green food truck. They do egg rolls and crab rangoons. They do the Korean corn dog. And they do this banh mi sandwich. And oh my gosh, man. Just like their food is... Our whole family, we just love it. And so we all go there. We get a couple Korean corn dogs. We get those crab rangoons. And then we're just digging in, on fire. Like, if we're there, you know that we are getting those things.
I am 1,000% with you. Have you gone to any of the other farmers markets in our region at all? Have you ever peeped out Appleton's or anything?
Yeah. So I have been down at Appleton. I think one of the things that Appleton has done a good job of recently is solving some of their parking problem. You hear in the last, we'll just call it 10 years, where they have some places where you can park downtown, because it used to be where if you wanted to go to the market downtown, man, sometimes you get stuck parking so far away because there was no place.
Right.
And, but I think they do a solid job. I have been through Ripon when they were having a market, and so I think those are probably the two that I remember most distinctly. I've definitely, if I'm anywhere and they're having a farmer's market, I just love to stop, or any kind of small festival, whatever is going on. Like if you will, it's what we talked about, what happens here in Oshkosh. We have people come together and everybody's having a good time around this thing, whatever it is. Down in Green Lake, I remember going to this little, it was like this art corn thing where like art corn roast. But it was such a good time, and it was just a bunch of people, all ages, totally diverse, just getting together, having a good time around this common theme. And I think any time that we can find avenues to do that, I love to be part. I love feeling that energy.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I gotta, now that you bring this up, I really see I'm gonna have to cancel a Kosh episode so I can make it to the farmer's market.
You're gonna have to move to a Sunday recording,
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Well, we do Sunday recordings, so yeah, that's gonna have to happen because I need to venture out here and I need to explore. Because if the burrito truck is back on, I'm sorry, Kosh listeners, y'all are about to hear me preach about that because they are just that good.
I love it.
Yes, and I don't know. I just really enjoy the vibe of the farmer's market. You know what I would really like to do at some point? I would love to be able to set up a table and do the Kosh from the farmer's market.
That would be so cool. I think that would be amazing.
I would just have people roll up and give me 5-10 minutes. Tell them sit down and let's chop it up.
Tell me why you love the market, and like have like 5-10 same questions over and over again. I think it'd be awesome.
Actually, I only need one. Why do you love the farmer's market?
That's awesome.
Or what do you like to buy at the farmer's market? Those would be 2. That sounds like a plan. Maybe we need to make that happen.
Yeah, I think you'd get people to stop too.
Oh, well, I hope so. We are the Kosh.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that like we are some great, well-known podcast. I'm just saying because we represent the Kosh. Hey, you got to stop by. We're hometown.
Absolutely.
All right. That makes a lot of sense. Loving that. Okay. Any other things that you would like to say about the farmer's market? Does the co-op do anything at the farmer's market?
Yeah, we do. And this year we've begun to sell. We are there not every week. Our plan is more every other week. And for the most part, that's the way it'll roll, except for a few exceptions. And whenever we sell anything, we're always going to highlight a local vendor. So we're going to find something that we just really love, and we're going to be like, hey, we found this new thing. So recently we brought in some confections. They're from just slightly over near the Minnesota state line, but they just made some great chocolates. They had these s'mores and peanut butter bombs that were just delightful. And I was like, we need to bring this stuff to the market and introduce it to the Kosh, if you will, and people really received it. And we also had our Believe shirts out there, and so Ted Lasso fans were definitely vibing with that.
I need a Believe shirt.
And I think one of the things is we really tried to just make pricing like super accessible, and so whatever it was, we were to engage people where they are at, to realize, hey, we're at the market, let's have a good time together. And if you stop by the market, at least for June, and you stop by whenever we have a tent, we'll have a free egg coupon for you where you can take back to the store and get some eggs. And so I believe we have the best eggs in the county at the co-op. They're locally sourced, and they are from this little Amish farm, and man, they are just so good.
Oh, that's the other thing I love to see when I'm at the farmer's market is the Amish people selling whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
I don't even care. And usually I think the one that I've been tuning into lately was like desserts. Like they sell some pies and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Amish, yeah.
They have this jar of peanut butter goodness that has like marshmallow in it. Oh my gosh, man. You throw some of that on a piece of bread.
Well, the last time I bought something, it was some of their pepper jelly.
Okay.
And the pepper jelly was amazing. And you know what we do with it is we put it in the meat. That's what we cook meatballs in. So we crock pot meatballs. You dump pepper jelly in there, and it melts. Oh my God.
That's what grandma used to do.
That is amazing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I vibe with that.
So, any last words about the farmer's market?
If you haven't been yet, you need to get out. Go be in your city. Go support it. It is absolutely fabulous. I have no critique of the farmer's market. Every year I feel it gets better.
Facts. All right. At this time, we're going to start wrapping up this episode, Kosh listeners. So, Kosh listeners, I just want to take a moment. I want to thank my guest today, Jeremiah. Thank you. But, Kosh listeners, I want to say to you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for giving us your minds and ears. Thank you for caring about this community enough to give us your time and to want to learn about another neighbor, another person in our community, making this place a better place, making a difference, helping us feel like we belong in a big, impactful way. As you know, we are a work in progress. We are always trying to get better, and we are trying to become the #1 podcast in all of Wisconsin, but we can't do it without you. So what I need is, hey, how can we be better? Are there segments you think we can add? Let us know. Do you want to be a guest? Let us know. Do you want to recommend a guest? Let us know. Is there something missing that you think we should do? Let us know. Whatever it is, you can reach us at askthekosh@gmail.com. Once again, askthekosh@gmail.com. The other thing is, the thing that'll help us get in front of more eyes and ears in our community, because I do think the more people that get to hear these conversations, the more belonging and more more believing we're creating in our community. We need analytics. And so while you're listening to this podcast, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and also take a few extra moments and leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing out here. These things make better analytics, and the better the analytics, the more eyes and ears learn about this podcast known as the Kosh. Okay, now it's on to the real business at hand, and we've been doing it all this episode, but we always have to take a moment to do shout outs. So, Jeremiah, who you want to shout out?
I want to shout out Ken at Planet Perk. Man, that guy invests so much into our city, and I really just, as I've gotten to know him, I just really love his heartbeat for reinvesting and for being a welcoming place for everyone. I had the honor, especially over the last year, of getting to know Ken a little bit more, and he's somebody who loves the city, and he wants everyone to know that they're welcome here and to reinvest. To anybody who needs a helping hand, and Ken's that type of guy, he wants to create a pathway for you, and so I just really appreciate that about him.
Ken, I want you to come on the Kosh.
I think that's a great idea. Also, I just, there's this new product. I found out about it through the co-op, but it's called Leapin' Lemonade. And man, so it's a vodka lemonade put together by Leroy Butler and Robin Yount. We call it Hall of Fame lemonade also. And I've been vibing with that on some evenings to chill out. If I'm not doing the THC soda, I'm probably doing the Leapin' Lemonade. It is just delightful. It's from right here in Wisconsin, and I think that it's a wonderful, like, if you will, summer vibe. And so last night I went home. I'm off for the weekend. I'm like, I'm cracking out some Leapin' Lemonade. It was really delightful. Great product, locally made right here in Wisconsin.
All right. Any other shout outs?
The other one we already mentioned, but I did want to just throw out to Kris Larson. Man, I just appreciate what you do for our city. And I think that the way that he wants to be transparent and always wants the best for Oshkosh is so good.
Facts. All right. Thank you for your shout outs. My shout outs this week. Let me just I think I started off the episode with this, but I'm also going to say again, I want to send a shout out to the people who are organizing Juneteenth, both in Oshkosh and in Appleton. A lot of people don't understand how important Juneteenth is to the Black and African American community. It's our 4th of July, simply put, because you got to remember, Independence Day, not all of us were independent at that time. Just want to keep it real. Want to send a shout out to the League of Women Voters. We're partnering with the League of Women Voters to do a voter registration drive at Juneteenth Day. And so I'm pretty excited about doing that with my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. I have so much admiration for the League of Women Voters and what they do, how they conduct themselves, and how the information they share to make informed voters, and that they do it in the most nonpartisan way. They do great work. I want to send a shout out to Lisa Smith and the 211 team. You know, I don't know how many of y'all know about 211, but 211 is this, it's like 911, but it's for non-emergency and for resources. So if you don't know where else to call, if you are unhoused, or if you, all sorts of things, they have this amazing database, and this is actually nationwide, and it's through the United Way. You can call 211. And I just think it's a resource that we don't talk about enough, or don't know about as a community, to find answers for those in need. So I want to encourage you. And I've had a chance to tour the call center in the past, and I had an opportunity to make an episode of Appleton Engaged with Lisa Smith talking about 211. And every time I talk to him, I learn more, and it's just such an amazing resource. And then finally, I want to send a shout out to Bosco, the podcast dog, who didn't do anything crazy this episode. And always last but never least, my wife, who continues to let us record these amazing episodes in this house. Yes. Woo. All right. Now, last thing. You ready, Jeremiah?
Ready.
Okay. You have 3 choices. You can give the Kosh listeners some parting words of wisdom. Option A. Option B, you can tell us, what would yourself today tell your 13-year-old self? or option C. You can do both.
I think we're going to do a mishmash of both because I think it really does go well together. And that's to tell people you're worth it, that you have value, that you are beautiful, and you just because you are. And I think that is something that so few people live in, that reality, that they're worth it. And I struggled with that for a long time, that I was worth it. And I would want myself as a child to know that, but then also I would want every person to know that you have so much value and to believe in the value that you innately have as a human being and to allow that to propel you into your dreams, into your future. And if you begin to live in that reality and that mindset, it's going to change a lot for you.
That'll do it. That was powerful. All right. Jeremiah, what you think?
Great, man. So good to be here.
The Kosh.